Facebook now. All right, welcome everybody to our second live stream with Dr. Audrey Mickel. So we're just gonna wait for just a few more seconds and get started here in a minute. So we're gonna go through a little bit of a review, just so everybody understands kind of a little bit of what the plan is. We're gonna go through a review of peptides, and then we're gonna get into kind of the meat and potatoes of the questions and answers that I think everybody has been waiting for. So you guys can queue up your questions in the chat, and we'll try to address them as soon as we get them. So today I want to welcome Dr. Audrey Mickel again. She's been a great friend of ours, and we've met multiple times, and been a really interesting relationship that we've had over the last 4 or 5 years. So Dr. Audrey Mickel, she is a naturopathic doctor. She has a PhD in the area of psychoneuroimmunology and master's degree in counseling psychology, and is also a registered nurse. She has received additional training in naturopathic endocrinology, anti-aging regenerative medicine, functional medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and energy medicine. She's also board certified in alternative medicine. And she's been an active member in the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine and the American College for the Advancement of Medicine since 1996. She served as a medical consultant for the U.S. Department of Labor for over 18 years. Dr. Mickel has also been an associate professor at the University of Utah Graduate School of Social Work and the University of California in San Francisco. She was previously on the medical staff of St. Francis Hospital in San Francisco. And she's also a former Army nurse, as well as a decorated Vietnam War veteran. Dr. Mickel's expertise is anti-aging, longevity, and wellness. And she has been providing wellness, health consulting, lifestyle coaching, and advanced nutrition counseling for over 40 years. She's also currently completing a fellowship in peptide therapy, a new longevity modality. She is also a commercial multi-aging instrument rated pilot. So welcome, Audrey.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here today.
Perfect. We will, I'm gonna have a pictures, slides ready whenever Audrey needs it. So we'll, I'm gonna share my screen now for the kind of the slideshow, and I guess Audrey, you can get started.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for coming today and taking time out of your busy schedule to attend. I have to say that peptides, I think, are the way of the future. I love peptides. I've been working with peptides. I've been studying peptides, and I'm really impressed with peptides and what they can do in the aging process, or anti-aging process, or a longevity program, whatever you want to call it. So I think that if this is a topic that we really want to dive into and understand more and be able to utilize more in depth for supporting our body in the entire aging process and slowing the aging process. So I would actually like to start with the first slide. Now, the first slide is interesting, and I just want to, if you see here, this just tells a little bit more about peptides. And it looks kind of confusing, I know. But the whole concept with peptides is they start off as proteins. From proteins, what's really important here is that we need the proteins for cell division, and we also need proteins for growth, reproduction, and healing. And most of the proteins work right by regulating chemical reactions, so like enzymes, hormones. And we also know that protein is essential for the immune system to defend against foreign invaders. And then also proteins help to support other nutrients around the body by binding to them. And they also help regulate proper fluid balance. And certain proteins serve a structural role in the tissue, such as muscle, skin, and even provide the matrix for bones and tissues. So basically, our body makes thousands of specific proteins that serve important roles in everyday life. And the human body is about 45% proteins, okay? So due to environmental hazards and stress, this cell regulating system is compromised and we become protein deficient. And so basically, if you take a look at proteins here, proteins then support the production of peptides. We have peptides in every cell of our body, and those peptides are a key factor in supporting the proper utilization of DNA and gene expression. So this is absolutely important. So as we age, those peptides degrade and they need support. And so also, in your DNA, you're looking at the cell division, looking at proper cell division. And we're also looking at having the support in our body to repair and rebuild. Extremely important. Now, peptides are, actually, I just want to digress for just a moment. So the first peptides were actually created by the Russian Military Medical Academy. That's about 40 years ago. And the first peptide that was developed was the Thymus peptide, which was extracted from young calves, and it helped to restore the immune system. The second peptide that was formulated and developed was for the thymus. And we know that the efficacy has been shown in more than 50 experiments on humans and animals, clinical trials in the past 40 years. So that's just very interesting. So the peptides, they do activate the gene expression, and that's a key player here. And so it really is going to focus on the natural mechanism of the organism to maintain physiological function, which is basically the complementary interaction of the DNA and the regulatory peptides. So this process is absolutely fundamental for the development and functioning of being a human. And we know that aging is an evolutionary determined biological process of age-related changes in gene expression and gene structure. So I think that's important. So then we see that the DNA then affects the RNA expression. And this is how this whole mechanism here, which is naturally occurring and is how our body is going to function more, optimally. So we have the proper proteins, we have the proper expression of peptides, we have the DNA functioning more optimally. Because as we age, the DNA replication becomes compromised. It's not as efficient, and this is where breaks or changes occur in the body, where you have the DNA that is not replicating properly, and then we start to see some what we call the transcription factors not optimally working as optimally, and then we have the RNA. So this whole cycle is going on every single moment in our body. The problem, of course, is with the aging process, those peptides are less available, and they're not able to really support the DNA and the RNA in the body. And that's really, really important. So we know that peptides activate gene transcription, which what allows an organism to maintain physiological functions, which is basically based on the complementary interaction of the DNA and the regulatory peptides. And this process is absolutely fundamental for the development and functioning of every living substance. And we know that aging is an evolutionarily determined biological process of age-related changes in gene structure and gene expression. And so where the problems occur with the gene expression is where we have the DNA breakdown and then unable to, to really support the RNA. So that is, and also you need to know that peptides have been extracted from every single body system and demonstrated, interesting specific properties. And so we know that for about 40 years, about 15 million people have been taking peptides with no side effects. And which is really interesting is that the peptides in animals and humans are identical. And that's why you can use like a natural peptide and get results. And also we know that peptide intake actually can normalize protein synthesis and does not overstimulate the cell. In other words, the cell cannot take in more peptides than it needs. Okay. So peptides, when they were first actually formulated in Russia, and Dr. Calvison, bless him, he has brought an absolute gift, to humankind. He started it, again, about 40 years ago, and he was very interested in how you can formulate this into a natural peptide. So peptides, there's natural peptides, there's synthesized peptides, and there's man-made peptides. And we're primarily talking right now about the natural peptides. And I have taken them and I do like them. So there have been clinical studies going on over the past 35 years that has really produced a great deal of clinical data about peptides. So let's go to slide number 2. So this is basically showing the role of peptides, as it says, in the cycle of DNA and RNA and protein synthesis. So we have you see a complementary interaction between the small peptides, intercellular, and the DNA. And so again, you see the changes in the gene expression that happens, and then we then get to the synthesis of tissue-specific proteins. And again, cellular proliferation, differentiation, and this is how we regulate the biochemical and physiological process of the body. So they know what to do, okay? They absolutely know what to do. And so this is how, another mechanism for peptides, all right? And we also know, kind of skipping back for a moment, that there are transcription factors that occur with protein synthesis. And we really haven't talked about the small peptides have not been addressed too much in the concept of gene control of protein synthesis. But we see that basically with age, there are alterations that occur at the cellular level. And and they take place in the inner structure of the cellular nucleus and then the DNA protein complex of the cellular organizes into chromosomes, only in the case of cell division. So basically it's saying that the peptides are at the core of cell function and cell optimization. And that's one of the secrets to them. And we do know that in clinical studies that animal lifespan and human lifespan has been increased by 30 to 40% of their mean lifespan, which means that they slow the aging process, which is kind of exciting. So you can actually go to slide number 3, and that just shows you. So if we say an average human lifespan is up like 110 to 120 years, so you know most of us have a good 70 to 75 years available to us. So it's that extra piece, that 30 to 45 years, is the addition of optimizing the expression and the structure of the genes. And again, you can see the list of the disturbances that impact the gene expression, and then we have the adverse effects. And you know, we all are experiencing them. So the adverse effect will have a definite change in the expression of the genes. And what is interesting is that the peptides will help change the expression in the genes so you can add on that additional 30 to 45 years. And so we call that the biological reserve of human life. So it is possible if you optimize cellular expression and you optimize the peptide process in the cells. So we see the potential increase in the average lifespan right there of what is possible. And that's the beauty and the magic of the peptides. That's what they can do for you. They can add on some extra sweet years in better health.
Well, I think if I can add on one little piece, I think
Sure.
the quality of those years is going to be completely different as well.
Absolutely. So it's more quality to life, you know, and that's the beauty of it. So, but people don't realize that they can live longer in good shape, not frail and sick in a nursing home,
Exactly.
with the addition of the peptides. So, how I see it, again, my perspective. Do you want to add anything else more on that, Vlad?
No, I think that's perfect. I think you got it perfectly.
Great. Okay. I mean, there's just so much clinical data out there, and I'm a bit of a science nerd, so I love talking about this stuff because it's so exciting of what is possible these days. We're going outside the box. I love being outside the box. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So the other thing I want to mention is, okay, so let's go to slide 4. Okay, so we do know that peptides can definitely increase lifespan. Okay. And that's been done in the labs, and those are, the flies and the mice and the rats. And we've definitely increased the lifespan with the use of peptides in animals. And so the information about the different proteins is stored in the DNA, and in order to launch protein synthesis, a DNA fragment, a gene, has to be activated by triggering molecules, i.e. peptides. So peptides are relatively short chains of amino acids, and they're an essential part of the self-regulating mechanism. That's an important piece. Essential part of the cell self-regulating mechanism. So with aging, naturally occurring peptides are going to decrease. And this is where the addition of peptides are going to come into play, because you're going to improve the cell self-regulating mechanism that we're all losing. Because cells are constantly degrading our aged proteins. It breaks them down into amino acids and peptides. And then some of these peptides match specific parts in the cell DNA following what we call a lock and key principle. So as a result, the peptide resumes the synthesis of the protein from which it was originally built. And so it's basically a circular process that is vital to cell life. So we know that's possible. We do know in humans, it is absolutely possible to prolong life. And so there's some very interesting studies saying, when you should take, how much you should take, and that sort of thing. And I think the current data says that if you start peptides about age 35 as a preventative measure against premature aging is wise. At that stage, it's like two to three 10-day courses of the basic peptides, okay? And then you're cycling them. And so basically from about the age of 40 to 45, it's really optimal to do at least 2 courses a year, which is basically 2 caps a day for 30 days. And then following that, you want to, how your health is, you want to look to expand that in terms of how are you taking peptides. I also think it's important, so that basically the older you get, the more organs are going to require support. And I think starting from age 50 to 55, it's generally recognized or recommended to increase the number of courses a year from 2 to 3. And if you take more than 4 or 5 peptide products, it's advised to split the course in several months so that each month you take 5 products or fewer. And, again, we're going to see a lot more advances occurring in this peptide science over the years. I mean, there's truly no way to really stop aging at this point in time, but we do know that we can slow down the process. One way is by reducing peptide deficiency and restoring the peptide protein cycles in the body. And we know that there's 21 natural peptides, and there's some, again, the synthesis. But basically, I'd say I think it's best to start with the natural ones. They do work slow, but they work, and that's the beauty of them. Okay.
So I'll ask a quick question. Sure. You mentioned 30. You recommend going on every peptide for 30 days. Would there be scenarios where people would go on a 10-day cycle? Sure. And what scenario would that be?
Well, a 10-day cycle is if you're in better health and you're just basically helping to support the organ. So I would say more peptides. If there's a clinical situation you're dealing with, then you want to increase your peptides. But I think it's wise, again, just a wise plan to do the peptides on a regular basis, even if it's a 10-day stretch, several times a year. So, but I think there's also, there's the science and there's the art, and that's what I always talk about. So the science is what we know about peptides. The art is how you're going to use them for yourself and how the body's going to respond. So I think we need to take a look at the peptides as a support mechanism. I would say it's a critical support mechanism. Of course, I have a biased point of view about that because of peptides, they're naturally within us. So I think there's no downside to working with peptides because we have them in our body already.
Yeah.
So let's go to, oh, yeah, do you want to say anything more about that?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, let's go to slide 5, and then we'll start opening it up for questions. And this is a great slide here, okay? And that's looking at the pineal peptide. And this is a clinical study done on humans, 15 years. And we found that putting in, we have the control group, and then we have the treatment group, and we see, that a major increase in the pineal functioning. And pineal functioning is extremely important for telomere production, for the slowing the aging process, optimal functioning of every single organ of our body. Pineal peptides, I think everyone should take. I love peptides, and I love the pineal peptide. So
it's my favorite one too.
it's my favorite. Actually, it has been recommended that if you were to only take two peptides, if you were to only do two peptides and do them several times a year, you'd want to do the pineal peptides and the thymus. Because as we age, our immune system degrades. And so this is the beauty of using a peptide, because put those two together and you are going to really see a major expression in longevity, but also in well-being. And I think that's the other thing that people don't talk about, the overall sense of well-being, where you don't look or feel or act your age. I never intend to. So, yeah. But I think this is a really good clinical study that was done and says, shows absolutely that the peptides work. And there are,
it's pretty incredible that they were able to do a 15-year study. So, in 91 or not, starting in 92, that's some pretty great data that is pretty irrefutable.
Isn't that great? I mean, that's what we bless Dr. Calvison. He has done some amazing work, and I'm also very grateful to Phil Nikens from International Anti-Aging Systems. He couldn't be with us today, but he's the one who brought the peptides from Russia to the U.S. To the Western, culture, and has been providing the peptides. And Vlad knows Phil; he's a character, and he's I bless him because he's the one who helped make peptides available. And the average person does not know about peptides. I love peptides. When I first got turned on to peptides many years ago, and I started with the natural peptides, and I've taken every single peptide there is. Of course, not prostate and not testes.
19.
But I actually do have some studies showing that women who do take the ovary peptides have had longer and more optimal ovarian function.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, I think a couple things that I just want to add is, so the peptides are short chain amino acids. So there's only, I think it's like 5 or 6 chains.
Yeah.
Which the big piece of it, and why this is so critical, is it absorbs into your stomach like no other peptides do. So or amino acids, because
they're naturally occurring. So we have the same peptides in our body as an animal has.
Exactly.
So, so that's why you can take a peptide extracted from an animal and give it to a human, and it will work perfectly because the animals and humans have the same peptides. And that's the beauty of it and the elegance of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Well,
do you want to open it up for questions?
I think so. We have quite a bit of questions today. I just want to say a couple quick things. So just so everybody kind of understands just some of the things that how I look at some of the peptides. So I see them, so there's 21 peptides, but there's 5 peptides, which is kind of like Audrey said, that I consider to be the core peptides. Those core peptides are going to be the pineal, thymus, blood, central nervous, and cartilage. So, and those are kind of ones that, if you could, the 2 peptides, but if you go to 5 peptides that you would take, those are the 5 that I would recommend that every single person take regularly as well. So, I think I think in the questions that you'll see a lot of those peptides popping back up on, as recommended things to add. So into your bundles and trying to help people. So, and I'll start. Do you want me to turn off the slides?
Yeah, unless anyone wants to see you can always put them back up if someone wants to see them.
Sure. Yeah, I can, and I'll if people, I'll probably share them in an email so we can, if people have questions. So, perfect. Are you able to get video on yet, Audrey, or?
I should be on. How can you turn me on?
Let me see.
Oh,
I just sent you a request.
start my video. Okay. Good. Okay. I'm on.
Perfect. Okay, so I guess we'll start with a couple of questions that didn't get answered last week.
Okay.
So the question that we had is, what are your views on thymosin alpha and beta and their effectiveness in improving immune systems? And how does that compare to the natural peptide solution?
Well, you're looking at synthesized peptides when you're looking at thymosin A and thymosin B. And we use them a lot in the sports medicine arena. They're not a natural occurring peptide. They do work. And that's why I always start saying you start with the natural peptides. And this is where Thymus is critical. I do a lot of the biohackers out there do use the synthetic peptides, the ones who made in the lab. They have their place, absolutely. Thymosin B, actually that's like thymosin A is really more for immune system support, where thymosin B is more for repair, rebuild. Okay.
Perfect. Question number 2, and I think this should be a pretty quick one. Should you take the thyrogen peptide with the adrenal?
Well, you could, but if you're going to do it, together, I would basically pay attention to how you feel. Yeah. I think they do work, but everyone is unique. So I think listen to your body, see how you feel, and that's the ultimate.
Perfect. Then we have a couple of questions from Terry. So the question was, there's so many peptides available. What's a good strategy to systematically address the entire body while targeting specific problems?
Okay. Well, I actually talked to Phil one time because I was thinking about, well, peptides do such great things in your body. What if you, and I asked him, I said, Phil, can you take every single peptide and cycle through them and rebuild your body? And he looked at me and said, yes, you could do that. Absolutely. So I would always start with the basics. Okay. And then you could do rounds of them and they will repair, rebuild. Absolutely. And that's what they do. So I think it's a great experiment, kind of a fun experiment to me. But then again, I'm a science nerd and I love science. So you could make yourself a clinical study of one, be the test subject, and start with your peptides. And then just over a year or two, cycle through each and every single one of the peptides. But again, taking no more than 5 peptides at a time.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I'll just add is I always try to recommend addressing things systemically. So if you're looking at a system, find other products that will, other peptides that will support your systems.
You have to optimize the system. So that's very important. So it's not, the peptides do work wonders. They're going to work even better if your body is optimized. And this is one of the things that I like to do is optimize the body first and then start adding peptides. But if you want to add the peptides in while optimizing your body, you can do that too. So it's whatever works for you. But always think about getting your gut working, getting all of your lab values in optimal ranges, and living a healthy lifestyle, keeping the stress down, getting your sleep, exercising, doing all the right things. And then the peptides are going to work so much better.
Yeah. Okay. Any recommendation for working with scar tissue and the fascia?
Well, the fascia is going to be it's going to be more challenging, but they also do have topical peptides too. In terms of the skin peptides, something like that could be beneficial. But again, just taking it topically is not going to really, optimize. So I would look at, collagen, support there, and overall, again, blood circulation, all those kinds of things are going to have an impact. But I also like something that's like, body work and dry brushing, again, to improve the circulation.
Yeah, I actually always recommend whenever you start taking peptides to make sure you have the proper intake of proteins, make sure you're intaking enough nutrients. And I always recommend adding collagen because collagen is just such a building block in your body that your body needs just to be able to repair your body. It's just an essential, part of it. So making sure you're, supplementing collagen is huge.
Well, actually, there's another way of doing collagen. And I like supplements that come from pasture-raised, pasture-fed, sustainably raised animals. So you can actually buy collagen from grass-fed critters in a capsule form, and that's another way of adding it to your diet.
Oh, wow, yeah, it's a good idea. So one last question from Terry. So I used the heart peptides for a month, and it almost helped me eliminate atrial fib. Any recommendations how often would be a good to cycle in and out of the heart peptides?
I probably would give it maybe three rounds of it, take a break for a month or two, and then cycle again. But what I would actually do to optimize this even better is put in some time-release magnesium.
Yeah, magnesium is huge for heart health.
It is huge. And that's one of the things that I absolutely use for atrial fib, is making sure that there is enough magnesium on board. And that is going to optimize the heart peptide working a heck of a lot better. You have to have cofactors in there. If you optimize cellular function and have the cofactors, you're going to have a much better result.
Perfect. I think that's awesome advice. Will a desiccated adrenal work with the peptide?
I would use, that's my suggestion, I would use, again, a glandular adrenal. And there's a lot of high quality glandular adrenals out there. But again, I would use one from, again, pasture raised animals. And that I think would support it really nicely. But I would, again, not all adrenal is created equal. And so I would, again, look at something high quality.
Perfect. Got a question from Mark. Can you grow a little articular knee cartilage using the peptide?
If you inject them into the knee, you possibly can.
Okay.
But so the answer is yes. But it's not going to be, yes, I would do it along with the, I do it along with the cartilage peptides. I would do it with anything supporting bone. So I really, again, I'd use a combo.
Yeah. Perfect. So we got another one. I have used the GCMAF for over a year now to build up my mitochondria, and I've felt the difference. So, and just, this is not a question about the peptides. This is a question about Benagine. So would the Benagine do the same thing?
Okay, so we're looking at GCMAF, and GCMAF has primarily been used for cancer patients. It works, not in every single case, but it absolutely works. And you know I'm in love with oxaloacetate, okay? And so oxaloacetate, which is Benagine, okay? There's some new clinical data I just got last week that shows that that oxaloacetate, took me forever to be able to pronounce that word, but Benagine, let's call it Benagine, it's much easier. So Benagine will optimize the NAD level in the body, okay? And which is part of the Krebs cycle. So the production of NAD will have a major impact on mitochondrial functioning and mitochondrial optimization. So I know that also the other beautiful thing about Benagine is it's going to have a caloric restriction mimetic effect, which means it's going to mimic caloric restriction. And while you still can eat. And so when you do that, you're going to naturally, it's almost like a fasting effect. And when you have that slight fasting effect, it's going to optimize and increase mitochondrial functioning. So I love it. You want to look at the proper dosing of it. And we've actually shown that the oxaloacetate, the Benagine, also helps well-being and mood. So I think it's jokingly saying a no-brainer to have Benagine or oxaloacetate in, because a lot of people are taking NAD these days, and it definitely works, but you don't want your NAD too high, you don't want your NAD too low. It's almost like baby bear's porridge, you want it just right. So this is where if you give the body oxaloacetate or Benagine, it will automatically rebalance or find the perfect balance in your body. And that's the beauty of using Benagine versus using other NAD products, because you can overdo, overload the body, and that has its own problems right there.
Perfect answer. And that's, I think, I don't know, for me, things that you don't have to worry about taking too many or not enough, that's the best, because
that's the beauty of it. And that's why peptides work, because the body will not utilize or absorb any more than it needs. And that's the same thing with a Benagine.
So we got a little bit of maybe a related question. What supplement or peptide helps with dopamine levels and serotonin?
Well, that's where we'd look at brain. Well, actually brain and gut, because serotonin is primarily a female neurotransmitter. And we know that, and we also know that approximately 80% of your serotonin is produced in the gut. So if your gut is not optimized, you're going to have some issues potentially of producing not only dopamine, but also serotonin. Dopamine is primarily a male neurotransmitter. And again, optimize the gut, which is extremely important, and then at the same time work on brain. So I jokingly say the gut talks to the brain doesn't talk to the gut.
Perfect.
So optimize gut, optimize brain.
Okay. Next one is there one peptide for anti-aging support in general? I think we kind of may have answered that one before, but I'll let you answer it again.
I would go with pineal and thymus. There's not one. There's no one magic bullet. There's no one magic bullet. It's about the combination. And when you give the combination, and your body will respond. So I would say there's two essential, which is pineal and thymus.
Perfect. And then is there a place for peptides in the recovery of systemic inflammation from toxic mold exposure?
Absolutely.
And in this condition, the organs aren't in tip-top shape.
Okay, this is where the peptide, again, if you're going along with a mold reduction program and getting it out of your body, that's where using the peptides are going to help the body rebalance and repair and rebuild. So I think it definitely has. Is there any situation where peptides don't work? No, unless you're way far gone, but it will still have an impact, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think just adding into that, I think a good detox will,
Oh yeah, but
like
on a regular basis.
Yeah, one of the products we have is the Zenaplex, which does a lot of the mold, a lot of just pollutants
Right.
out of your body. So, I mean, followed by the peptides would probably be the best thing you can do for yourself.
Along with dry brushing and a sauna. Infrared sauna is great. So sauna is great for detoxing. Fasting is great for detoxing. I would, if you do fast, do it a short fast. I find that women, probably should keep their fast a little bit shorter than men. Men can handle a longer fast, but just a pure, 24-hour water fast will clean out a lot of stuff.
Perfect. Well, perfect timing, because the next question is, can you continue to take in a stack while fasting, including a 3 to 5 day water fast?
Yes.
How would you take it? Because usually you take it with food. Do you just take it?
Like an empty tummy. Just do it. Again, there's, these peptides, they know what where they're supposed to go. They know what they're supposed to do. So, and there's in a sense almost like trusting the peptides. The peptides are a gift, from the Russian scientists. And so I would say the peptides will, they'll go where they need to go. They'll do what they're supposed to do. I would not be that concerned about it, because the peptides, it's like when you eat a hamburger, you don't worry about body, what the body's going to do with a hamburger. You just trust it. That's a strange analogy with it.
Well, yeah, so we had a list of peptides, but I think we'll just jump off because there's a couple of really good questions on fasting here in the chat. So can you take them during what's called alternative day fasting? You eat one day, then you fast for 24 hours, 20 to 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah. See how you feel, see how your body responds. And you'll get the feedback. If your body goes, I don't think so, you'll know.
Perfect. And then another quick question on the fast, since we're talking about water fast. During a 3 to 5 day water fast, will they be destroyed by the autophagy? I don't know how to say that one.
No, autophagy. Autophagy, okay. No, they'll be fine, yeah. Don't worry about it. That'd be fine. You'll not be destroyed. Again, the body wants to hang on to these peptides. The body wants these peptides. So they're going to, they're going to basically be doing, actually their peptides are going to do the repair and rebuild that's going to be occurring during the fasting process. So again, autophagy is going to clean it out, and the peptides are going to do the repair, rebuild. And that's the beauty of it. There's a balance there.
Perfect. And do digestive peptides or other enzymes interfere or work better with these peptides?
No. That's the answer. That's an easy question. No,
how do you compare oral peptides versus subcutaneous and the creams?
Okay, so the peptides, again, they're slower acting when you use them orally. They're just slower acting. They're functioning more like food and for repair, rebuild. The injecting peptides, they do work. They absolutely do work. Again, you want to use very, very, very small doses of injectable peptides. And I have to confess, I have used every single peptide out there because I'm my own guinea pig. And I like to do research. And so injecting them, again, you want to watch the balance. So they're going to work, it's going to work faster injecting them, but it's having the balance. It is absolutely critical when you're injecting the peptides.
Perfect.
Not everybody is able to shoot themselves with a needle.
No.
Especially in the belly.
Yeah.
And that's
so back to the enzymes. So clarifying the question a little bit, I guess I didn't read it all the way. The nattokinase, the question would be if the nattokinase or the peptase will destroy the peptides, since those two enzymes eat non-living proteins?
Well, this is actually a living protein, okay? But I would not take nattokinase and serrapeptase at the same time as a oral peptide. I would take them at a different part of the day.
Perfect. I think that answers it perfectly.
And those peptides, the nattokinase and the serrapeptase are basically best when taken away from food. So you can get up in the morning, take serrapeptase and nattokinase and wait 45 minutes and then do your oral peptides. You just space them out.
Perfect. All right. Next one I have is I am 88 and just started on the peptides. I bundle since I have AMD, and I have essential tremor. So I hope I can get help. And the I bundle is the retinal and the central nervous system peptide.
That would definitely help, without a doubt. I would also do blood vessel along with that.
Blood, okay.
Because you want to improve the circulation to the eye.
Perfect. And then how do the glandulars compare to peptides for adrenals, thyroid, etc.?
Well, you can't really compare them. It's like comparing apples and oranges. You have all the natural substances available in the glandulars, and they will support each other. But again, we're talking apples and oranges here. The glandulars, will support whatever peptides you're taking, but in terms of, do they take, they work with differently. They have a different structure of working. And if they do have peptides in them, but it's not going to be the same as taking the oral peptides.
And I think Phil answered this question, just so everybody knows, on the last webinar. So you guys can go to YouTube and watch our other one and see Phil answer this one as well. So I think, so that you guys can, see a lot of these questions may have gotten answered as well. So, jumping on to the next question, and this is an easy one. Is there any research on effects of taking peptides long-term?
Yes, there's tons of it, and it works. I'm a peptide junkie myself. I've been using peptides for a long time, believe me. And they work.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And the best part is you feel it once and you still feel it taking it 5-6 years later.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think this is going to be our most popular question that I get asked is, what peptides support the thyroid? And I'll ask one just a little bit further in than what was asked is, how would you recommend taking the thyroid peptide? Because I think that one, you take it a little differently than, for a thyroid issue, you take it a little differently than just all your other ones.
Well, I like to put thyroid and adrenals together, because whatever impacts the thyroid is going to affect the adrenals, and whatever affects the adrenal is going to affect the thyroid. So they work hand in hand. So if you're doing a thyroid, do adrenal. Absolutely. That's a critical thing. But also you want to, again, monitor your thyroid numbers in terms of most docs, when you ask for thyroid blood work, they're going to just do a thyroid stimulating hormone, but you also need to take a look at total T3, total T4, free T3, free T4, which will give you more feedback about how your thyroid is functioning. But again, if you just take the thyroid, if you're going to take thyroid, you're going to take it with blood vessel, and you're also going to take it with adrenal, and that will begin to optimize it. But also you want a lifestyle that's going to support your thyroid too, which is keeping your stress down, and also in terms of eating, proper proteins, because your thyroid, of all the organs in the body, your thyroid loves animal protein. It wants critters. And so being a vegetarian is a little more challenging if you have thyroid issues, because you're going to often have underfunctioning thyroid.
Perfect. And then you would just take it time-wise. As far as you just take 30 capsules for the month.
With adrenals.
Okay. And then repeating it every after a month.
You can repeat after a month or 2 months. Again, but what you want to do, one, how do you feel? Are you warming up? Are you getting, how's the cold hands, cold feet? Are you losing, any weight? Because people who have an underfunctioning thyroid will often have, weight that they can't get off their body. Also, you want to get some exercise in there. Thyroid loves the exercise.
Yeah.
You also want to monitor your stressors, because stressors are going to have an impact on the adrenals. Whatever affects the adrenals is going to affect the thyroid. So,
perfect. I think we're 2 minutes, so we got 2 minutes left. So we'll try to get this a little quicker, but I think we'll be able to answer all the questions here, because we may not answer any questions that you asked after this point, but we'll try to answer the ones that have been
okay, let's go
before. Anything for hair loss, age-related hair loss, hearing loss?
Hearing loss, okay.
Not hair loss.
Hearing loss, okay. So hearing is often correlated with aldosterone. So aldosterone production. So this is where things like kidney support is going to come in, because basically aldosterone is a kidney and adrenal hormone. So I would support definitely kidneys, and I would support definitely adrenals for helping with hearing loss. We often see this more in men, which is very, very interesting. And so I would also make sure your testosterone levels are supported, make sure that, that the entire endocrine system is supported.
Perfect. And then I guess, is it comment on effectiveness of subcutaneous versus oral? Cavinson studies all or mostly injected. I think we kind of mentioned that one a little bit, but if you want to add anything.
Actually, Cavinson started off injecting intramuscular. So IM injections of peptides. And you can get the injectables, these days, but they're very expensive, very expensive. And they do work, and they do work fast. They, much faster than the oral. But then we also have the other peptides in terms of like a sub-Q injection. They're going to work faster. And they have their place. But you also, I think it's important, if you're going to start off with, a synthetic, you want to also at the very same time have the orals in terms of supporting the body, because you don't want to push the body too hard. And I know, like in the biohacking community, there is a tendency to want to push and push and push and push. And I think balance is extremely important. That, if you're going to do the peptides, work on doing it, the natural peptides as part of an overall program.
Perfect. Is it better to do two at the same time? Taking two peptides at the same time, or doing them one in the morning, one in the night? So if you're stacking.
If you're stacking, I would do it morning and night.
Okay.
So that is, if you're doing like stacks, I think a twice a day dose on peptides is optimal. Because that way you have it on board 24/7, and that's what you really want. You want it in the body, doing what it's supposed to be doing, and especially you want it in the evening time, because when you sleep, that's where you do repair and rebuild. And so, we want to make sure your sleep is optimal and you're getting a proper sleep. But I think twice a day dosing is optimal on the oral peptides, and even on the synthetic peptides, because you want to have it on board 24/7.
Perfect. And then one last question, and I'll answer this one, because I think
you're gonna answer this one. Good.
So was it the thymus core along with the pineal? So I think the core that I like to refer as the core peptides is pineal thymus, blood, central nervous, and cartilage. And I think in that order of priority. So the two key ones that I think Audrey mentioned was the pineal and the thymus is you can only take 2 peptides. Those are the 2 that she'd recommend. So
I agree that if you can only two peptides, it's all your little budget can afford, pineal and thymus. Because you have to also remember that with the aging process, your thymus starts to decline. So, and especially in this time right now, you really want to support your thymus. I have people who are freaked out because they're going to, get sick. And I'm saying, relax, support your immune system. The solution for optimizing your immune system is within your reach.
Perfect. I think we'll close the Q&A on that one. I think this is perfect. Thank you so much for getting on the call with us. And I just want to let everybody know that, if all of your questions are, you can always shoot me. And I think Audrey is probably available to answer some questions.
I am also, and if you want to do a phone consult, I am doing phone consultations these days. You can get my info from Vlad. So if you have get some support. Yeah,
and actually, I just want to kind of speak a little bit on one of the programs that we do with everybody, and we have a lot of people who's joined this program, and so. I mean, the peptides are truly an amazing way for nature to give us the balance that we need, but a lot of people don't know where to get started. And the biggest question I get is where do I start first? So we put together a 90-day wellness program, which includes 4 consultation calls, 16 peptides, and we throw in 3 additional peptides that are up to $50 in value. I just wanted to kind of express to people that we have this program. And you guys can get on a call with me and, work on, really figuring out what your issue is. The consultation calls are essentially free. They just come, with you purchase the product, and we actually get you a great bundle for the product, but you guys can come in and, it's a one-on-one consultation. And the big thing, it starts out with a 1-hour intake call where we work out to build a 3 to 6 month program, depending on, which program you purchase. And we try to educate you and address any questions you have. We build out this program, the goal of what you're looking to achieve over a 3 to 6 month process. And then we essentially put together the 1 month that you're dealing with. We go in and we send you out your order within a couple of days, hopefully if everything's in stock. And you kind of just get your product in the mail. You don't have to pay anything besides the original fee. And once we go in and once your peptides start running out, you set up another call with me. And, we go to another 15 to 30 minute call. We review how it all went. And we go in and just see if you want to, continue on the program that we had, or if you want to modify how your body felt. And we kind of cover a lot of those things in this. So, and we do that essentially for the remainder of your products. So there's been a lot of positive examples and a lot of great results that people have had. It's pretty, awesome to see that, I think 100% of the people that signed up for the program had positive outcomes. And realistically, it's really hard not to, because the products really are amazing. So, if you guys have any questions, you can message me, call me, Facebook, Instagram, really anything. I'm available anywhere. So if you guys need to get a hold of me, but thank you, Audrey, for getting on this call. And it's been great. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Have a lovely day. Everyone, have a lovely day and stay well, be happy, be healthy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.